The idea for customizing my gear to make it pink came a few years ago, probably like 3.5 years ago. I've always loved pink. It's always been something I've really loved. And I just thought one day I had this clone of a 303 and I thought, okay, maybe I could see what it looks like if I paint this pink. And yeah, just the idea just popped into my head. And then, yeah, I did it and it came out really good and I really liked it and I had a lot of fun. So I just kind of kept going really. And like I always wanted a pink 808 and you can't get them in pink. If I could get them in pink, then I wouldn't probably be doing any of this. For my live setup, it's all, there is no computer, so yeah, it's all the individual machines and using each of the internal sequences of each machine. There's sort of no real sort of main brain or something like that. It's really just spread across the different machines. I use like the Percons, my modular, the analog rhythm, the Syntakt, and my 303. Those are usually the sort of 5 machines I take out. And I really love the Percons for like its rich and aggressive and slightly sort of industrial sounds. I use it for like drum sounds, but also for like synth sounds as well. And the modular, of course, because it's so versatile. There's particularly a module in there that I love called the VPD-ME. It's like a quad drum voice, and I use that a lot. I think that's an amazing instrument. And yeah, the 303, trying to use that. Yeah, like, I mean, I love the 303 sound, but yeah, I don't use it in every track, but in a few bits and pieces. Yeah, and I mean, I guess the powerful thing with like the analog rhythm is being able to put samples inside it and using that also like as a synth. And I do that a lot. I really like to put like perhaps like a chord inside and then sequence that and put samples through the filters and stuff like that. I really love the Elektron machines. I think, yeah, for a long time I had really been looking for something with this kind of sequencer where you can sort of do those parameter locking and things like that on the steps and being able to sequence all the different parameters of the machine. Yeah, I understand there's like a bit of a workflow and people, you know, sometimes take some time to learn this, but I think they're such powerful machines and also for live performance, I find them really great. What I love about the Syntakt, for example, is that like, I feel like it's a really nice evolution of like from the analog rhythm because like some of the analog circuits were taken from that but like improved upon, and I can really hear the improvement, I think, to the sound there. And yeah, the mix, I think, on the Syntakt between like the digital synthesis and the analog stuff, I think has been really nicely done, especially for bass and things like that and other sort of synth sounds, yeah. So it's definitely a favorite of mine. They're connected via MIDI, so basically the analog rhythm goes into a MIDI through box, and then from the MIDI through box, everything else is connected, so there's not so much daisy chaining. Yeah, and it works pretty well for me. I have not had any timing issues with that. Like a lot of the machines I have been using so far live, not so many of them are polyphonic, so like being able to do some nice sort of chords and stuff like that was being kind of a little bit missing. I used the Analog 4 a bit, but now with like the release of the new Elektron, the Digitone 2, yeah, I'm pretty excited to use something like this in my setup. So it's also the form factor being small makes it easier for me to be able to take out live. So yeah, it's kind of like a mix of like the size of the device and the sound, but I really have to love the sound. I think that's the main reason. For effects, I don't have a huge amount of effects in the modular. I have like a reverb. Actually, yeah, kind of each machine has its own effects. So I tend to sort of use, like, you know, on the Electron devices, I use the internal effects, and on the modular, I have like a reverb, and I have another sampler in my modular, which I also use the reverb and delay inside, and also the Percons. The Percons has this sort of analog delay, so I use that as well. My process for so for jamming out and making a track, so yeah, usually I'll spend quite a few hours like jamming out, can be like a whole day and a night, and then come up with like maybe a couple of different tracks ideas, and then I'll perform them out like a few times and sort of see what works and what doesn't work, and what's too much and what's too little, and what to get rid of and what to keep, and then sort of refine that a little bit kind of over a few gigs into sort of something that I like. And then when I come to record it, I use like the 101 Music Blue Box, and record lots of takes of it. So basically perform it live until I feel like there's a take that I really like. I can sometimes do 15, 16 takes of a track, but then it'll end up probably being the second or third take that I did that I really like. So whatever I feel like conveys the feeling and emotion and I feel attached to the performance, then I take that one. There's no reason why all of it couldn't probably be done in a computer, but I think for me, I started out with hardware, and it's just the way I connect with the music, sort of just, for me it's a little bit more immediate with both my hands, and like turning the knobs and sliders and things like that, having the physical controls in front of me. I find sometimes, the mouse and stuff like that, I'm not so good with like sitting down and clicking, and I don't feel it so much with my body. Like that's why I like to stand up when I make music, and so I'm sort of dancing around a lot when I'm actually producing the music. Mistakes always happen, and that's part of it. That's part of just playing live. And, sometimes the mistakes can sound good, sometimes they can sound not so good. And just basically just sort of go with it, and either just completely go into a different territory. Like usually, because I move around a lot when I play, sometimes I'll accidentally flip a switch and the sound changes and I'll be like, oh no. But then sometimes it'll be, oh, okay, that actually sounds kind of cool. And so I can kind of play with it a bit. One of the things which I really enjoy about performing live is that, you can just sort of be in the moment, in the flow, kind of creating the tracks on the fly. Like, even though like the plan is already there, like I think when the gig is good, I really feel that I'm in the moment, and hearing the sound on the big sound system coming out, all the bass, and people dancing, like, I don't know, it's a special, amazing feeling for me. I try sort of not too much to put too many constraints on myself, and sort of let it be fairly fluid. I always like to stay sort of in dance music, and I really like to get people dancing and to dance myself. So like, I love to like take influences from all different genres, like if it's like dubstep sounds or some drum and bass things, or things from like two-step in the UK. Basically see where my inspiration takes me.